Let's start with subject lines. May seem like the most mundane part of your email message, but if you're someone who lives and dies by email, like I do, then a good subject line is just so appreciated, and it can do a lot more than you might think. To make subject lines a little easier to see, I'm going to turn off the reading pane here. This is Microsoft Outlook, but other programs have a similar setup where you can see a message and then see details and turn that off. So we're really just looking at all these subject lines. Now, for starters, which one of these would you want to read? I mean, when you get a subject that's just something as simple as here, podcast. I mean, what is that about? Is it about a podcast? Is it something I need to do about a podcast? Are you telling me about a particular podcast? Look at this one right below it. Status report on the podcast project. I know exactly what that is. It probably is even something I'm expecting here from Jill. And I know whether it's something I need to open up right away or whether it's something I can put off till later, and so forth. There are other things here that can be really helpful. See, I've got a clear need spoken right in a subject line. Need this broken home office VPN fixed. Hey, that's something I know I'm going to need to do. And then there are some other things about subject lines that you might have seen and can just generally be helpful. Like here's one from my wife. It says family update, long. I can go ahead. I know that if I choose to open this email, this is going to be a long update on everything that's happening with the family. And then another one from my wife here. This one's incredibly short. It says pick up milk on your way home and it has this little tag after it, EOM. What does that stand for? Well, I'll give you a clue. Let me open it up. There's nothing inside it. EOM stands for end of message. It was just a quick message from her saying, hey, pick up milk on your way home. I could see that come in. I won't even bother reading it. In fact, if I've already picked up milk, or it's on my to-do list anyway, I might just go ahead and delete it. Let's go ahead and make a new message and just talk about this whole subject line thing a little bit more. So I went to new. You can also go to File, New Message. And let's skip right down to subject and just use my tab key to get down there. One of my favorite coaches on writing is William Zinsser, and he calls his 4 terms or 4 touchstones for great writing. And you know what? They work for subject lines too. He says think about clarity, simplicity, brevity, and humanity. So let's take a look at that. What would that be in a subject line? Suppose I see a subject line like this. It comes in, it says some useful information. Now, what does that really tell me? Yeah, it's some useful information for me, but about what? I'm a busy guy. I kind of want to know. And it's helpful to prep somebody for the message that's coming in. So instead of that, go ahead and say something like, good websites for, good websites for podcast market research. Now, if I was sending this out to somebody, they know right off the bat, this is going to have a whole bunch of websites that are helpful for this podcast project that my company's working on. Not only is it good for the message coming in, it's also going to be helpful for that person later on when they go and search for it, say a week, 3 weeks, 3 months down the road. Gosh, what were those websites that Jeff sent me? Because they're going to do a search for websites or podcast. And it was right there in your subject line. It's going to easily pop out not only from the search, but from a list of messages that come up as search results. In a similar deal, suppose you had here, help. Well, help with what? Right? That's a little too simple, a little too brief. Let's be specific. Need help with creating PDF documents, PDFs from a scanner. That's pretty good. And notice it doesn't say things like need assistance with creating PDFs from a scanner. I want something really clear. I need help. And so I'll use a really clear, short word. If I want to make it even a little bit better, I can add just a little touch of humanity in there. Jeff needs help with creating PDFs from Scanner. Just a little extra motivation. Hey, it's me over here. I need some help with creating these PDFs. In a realm so inhuman as the computer screen, just adding that little personal touch kind of has an effect in getting people to move on things. The same way, if you were approaching somebody, you might say in your subject line, Jeff Van West suggested I contact you. Oh, I don't know who this email message is from, but I know that name that's in the subject line. I might just go ahead and open it right away because I'm curious. Who is this person who knows my friend named Jeff? Finally, if you find yourself tempted to type this into a subject line, urgent, or you find yourself hitting this high priority button all the time, think about whether this really needs to be an email. If it's that urgent that you're getting somebody to try and respond right away, well, then maybe you need to actually call them on the phone.